What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So today, I wanted to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. The other day, I had kind of said that I was going to talk about one of those teams in the Eastern Conference. I had made a video about the Heat the other day and kind of decided that I was going to go through some of those other teams that are in that range in the East and potentially where those teams might end up. I had decided to talk about the Hawks, and I had all those graphics set up and ready to go, and I was about ready to click record, and that video will probably come later this week. But while I was waiting, I kind of decided to watch the end of this Lakers-Raptors game, and I was kind of, the Raptors were up like 20. It was pretty decided. They ended up winning by like 7 or 8. And as I was kind of watching the end of that, I was looking through the standings and looking through some of the remaining schedules left, and looking at where the Lakers are at this point. And it's become clear to me that they're in a little bit of danger here of slipping down the standings. They might have to play a play-in game. This is not a drill. This is not a joke. The defending champions could potentially find themselves in a situation where they have to win one game to even get into the playoffs. And if guys aren't healthy and they continue to play the way they are right now, anything can happen. Who knows, right? So I kind of wanted to go in depth on the Lakers and the rest of their season, do a little preview for them for the rest of the year, because I just had to talk about them tonight after, they've lost back-to-back games now. They've lost like 7 out of 8 or something like that, maybe 5 out of 6. They're not playing well right now is the point. So I kind of wanted to just take a look at them today. So here we go. Here is the play-in scenario for the Western Conference right now. As you can see, they are tied. Lakers, Mavericks, Blazers, same record, completely tied. The only thing separating them is tiebreakers at this point. The Mavericks do have the tiebreaker over the Lakers. They beat them 3 times this year. So they do have that tiebreaker, and if those two teams end up tied at the end of the year, the Mavericks would get the higher seed. Worth also mentioning that the Mavericks have the easiest remaining schedule, at least out of those 3 teams. It might be the easiest in the league. Or one of them at the very least. The Mavericks have a very soft schedule down the stretch, and so it's a real possibility that they end up finishing ahead of LA there. So if the Mavericks are going to grab the 5 seed, then you have the Lakers and the Blazers who play on Friday. They have one game. That is a back-to-back for LA, and that is in Portland. The Lakers play the Clippers the night before that, fly up to Portland and play the Blazers on the second night of that back-to-back. So that is a tough game, and if the Blazers win that one, then they will also have the tiebreaker over LA. That is right now currently a 1-1 season series, and the Blazers, if they get that win, they would get that tiebreaker. Now, if the Lakers do end up winning that game and pulling that off, then it puts them in a lot better position. So that's going to be a big game on Friday there between these two teams that could potentially decide who is the 6 and who is the 7. Now, there's still a while to go after that, but that is certainly going to be a big game there. So this is virtually a tie between these 3 teams right now. Could go any way possible. To me, it looks like the Mavericks are going to be able to stay ahead, assuming that they can, take care of business against some of these easier teams down their stretch. Now, as I say this, they just lost to the Kings tonight, who are without De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton left early, and a bunch of other players are out for the Kings right now. But the Mavericks just lost to them. So Dallas is a team that can lose to anybody, so nothing is set in stone. But as of right now, they're in a pretty good position to take that 5 seed away from the Lakers there, which puts them in danger of tumbling down even further. It's unlikely that they will go any further than 7th, because Memphis is 3.5 games back, Golden State 14. Now, it is possible if either of those teams or even San Antonio gets hot down the stretch and wins a lot of games and the Lakers continue to struggle, but it's unlikely. It's looking like 7th will probably be where they would end up if they do continue to struggle down the stretch and the Blazers and the Mavericks can win some games. And as for the schedule, this is a real tough one, you guys. They play the Nuggets tomorrow night, so that is the first back-to-back for them. They just played Toronto this evening and lost that game. They now go and have to play Denver. That is at home, so not quite too bad. The Nuggets have to come to them, but that is still a tough game. The Nuggets have been playing super well. They're like 9-1 in their last 10 games, and Jokic is playing at an MVP level right now, so the Denver Nuggets could potentially come in there and knock off the Lakers, especially if LeBron can't go. I do also want to mention this. LeBron left tonight's game early with ankle soreness, is what the team called it. Looks like it just flared up on him again, and he had kind of been struggling with it. As we know, he just missed like 20 games with that ankle injury. So Looks like he had a little bit of trouble with that. Who knows if he'll be able to play tomorrow? Obviously we won't know that. You might know by the time this video is up tomorrow, but I don't know right now as I'm recording this. So the Nuggets game is going to be tough, especially if LeBron can't go. They didn't have to, I guess they don't have to travel to play the Clippers because that is in their home arena, but it is designated as an at Clippers game. Either way, the Clippers are tough. They're a really good team. They've been playing well recently. Like I mentioned, that back-to-back against Portland, that is a super, super tough one. They have to go to Portland on the second night of a back-to-back and try to win that game. That is tough, and that's a huge, huge consequence there. So we'll have to see how that one shakes out. After that, it is back home to play the Phoenix Suns, who just recently took possession of the #1 seed in the Western Conference. They're certainly going to be playing for something down the stretch, so they're kind of jockeying back and forth with the Utah Jazz to maintain possession of that 1 seed there. So the Suns are going to be playing for something. We'll see how that game goes, but that is a home game for the Lakers, so that's nice for them. But the Suns are a very good team, obviously. Then they have to play the New York Knicks, who are above 500. They're a playoff team. They're like the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. They're also going to be playing for something. They're going to be playing for playoff positioning because things are still very, very tight over there in the East. Then you have the Houston Rockets, which is, thankfully for them, it's an easier game. The Rockets are not very good, and by that point, they're just going to be completely in tank mode, trying to get down as far into the lottery as they possibly can. And then to end the season there, I forgot to mention that Rockets game is also a back-to-back, so that's a third back-to-back for them in their last 9 games of the year. And then the last 2 games of the year is the Indiana Pacers and the New Orleans Pelicans. Quick little road trip there. That is also a back-to-back, so that is the last back-to-back for them. They have a couple of days off before that Pacers game, in between the Rockets and the Pacers, a couple of days off to prepare, so it's more likely that they'll be able to win that game against Indiana. So we'll see how that one shakes out. And then New Orleans Pelicans, last game of the season. In my opinion, the Pelicans probably won't be playing for anything at that point. It feels like they're a little bit too far out of the playoffs. Now there is a chance that they end up getting up in there and potentially fighting with the Spurs or the Warriors for that spot, but in my opinion, it's unlikely that happens. So those last 2 games of the year, a little easier. Even though it is a road trip, anything can happen, who knows. And listen, it is silly to question the defending champs, and especially the defending champs with LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the team, considering we know the track record of these Lakers, and specifically of LeBron, and how they turn it up when the stakes are the highest. But I think at this point, we have to at least consider the possibility that this team might not be the title favorite. Just because I know that they're all rounding back into shape and they haven't played a ton of games together, and they've kind of, changed a lot of the role players on this roster this year on the fly. They got a couple of guys on the buyout market who have not played with the Stars at all. So this is a roster that is very much not in a rhythm right now, but they have not looked good since their stars have come back. AD has been back for 5 or 6 games at this point. LeBron has been back for 2. So it's kind of they're not super great. Their offense has been clunky. They haven't played well. Defensively, they've still been fine. They were really good defensively through both of those guys' absence. And even since they've been back, it's not been incredible. They've allowed 110 points in the last 4 games at least, which is, pretty good by today's standards, but nothing amazing. So it's kind of weird to consider that this team might not be the favorite, but if they do slip down the standings, end up having to play a play-in game, don't look great even fully healthy, do they even make it out of the West? Because there's a lot of good teams in the Western Conference. We've seen the Jazz be able to beat the Lakers twice this year, I think. The Suns have beaten them. The Clippers have beaten them. The Nuggets have beaten them. So there's a lot of really good teams out West. And if this team is not clicking, if the Lakers are not clicking at the right time, then they could be in trouble. And I just want to raise this possibility that there's a real chance that we get a LeBron James Steph Curry play-in game as either the 7-8 matchup or maybe in the second round of that play-in game. I know it would take the Lakers to lose and the Warriors to win if they were the 9 seed or whatever. But it is possible that we see LeBron versus Steph in a 1-game shootout for all the marbles. And wouldn't that be something? I'm sure the league would love that one, because that would be perhaps the most watched NBA play-in game. I mean, it's only the second year of the play-in. Maybe the most watched NBA playoff game, aside from maybe Game 7 of the finals, in a long time, because those two guys are clearly, very, very popular within league circles. The play-in is a new thing. And if it's just a 1 game with all the high stakes, then I feel like that would be very marketable for the league. So that's a chance. Not saying it's going to happen, but I would personally like to see that because I think it'd be fun. But yeah, moral of the story is Mavericks are probably going to finish ahead of the Lakers. Their schedule is cake and they have the tiebreaker. Blazers' schedule is tough, but so is the Lakers' schedule, and they have one more game to decide the tiebreaker. If the Blazers pull that off, it's going to be a lot easier for them to potentially finish ahead. Lakers have like 4 back-to-backs remaining in their final 9 games of the year, which is insane. LeBron is not fully healthy. He left tonight's game early. Anthony Davis is still not 100% back. The team is not clicking, so they at least look vulnerable right now, and I'll leave it at that. But I think that's about all I have on the Lakers. Like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell if you want to, leave a comment letting me know what you think about the Lakers, how their season has gone, and how it might finish, because we're going to see this team in the postseason one way or the other, whether it's a play-in game or in the first round, or obviously both. But you know, it'll be interesting to see how this season unfolds for them, because it'll be quite an uphill climb if they have to go through the play-in game, through the entire Western Conference, all the way to the finals. It's just a very, very tough ask for anybody. So yeah, I think that's about all I have, and I will see you guys in the next one.